Today's story begins in Alappuzha district of Kerala, also known as Alleppey. On the morning of 22nd January 1984, around 4 am, a man was driving his car from Mavelikara to Chennur in Alappuzha district. As his car reached the Kollakadvu bridge, he saw a car on fire a little distance away on the side of the road in a paddy field. He immediately got out of his car and went to the house of a man named Radhakrishnan who lived near the field and informed him about the burning car. When they both approached the car, they were shocked because there was a man badly burnt on the driving seat of the burning car. After seeing the burnt body inside the car, Radhakrishnan informed the police about the incident. As soon as the Kerala police received the information, they were on a high alert and rushed to the scene. The burning car in the field was a black ambassador with a registration number of KLQ 7831. By around 5:30 am, Chennur's then Deputy Superintendent of the Police PM Aridas also arrived at the scene. By then, a large crowd had gathered and the car was still burning. Somehow, the fire was extinguished and the burnt body was taken out of the car. The first priority was to identify the dead body. The body was so badly burnt that it was difficult to recognize. The only thing recovered from the body was a half-burnt underwear which the police kept as evidence. Apart from this, there was nothing found with the body or inside the car that could help in identifying the person. However, a man from the crowd made police work easier by identifying the black ambassador car as belonging to an NRI named Sukumara Kurup, who had returned to his village a few days ago, just 5 kilometers away from there. The build and the age of deceased also matched Sukumara Kurup, making it highly likely that the man in the car was him. The police immediately sent a team to Sukumara Kurup's house to inform them about the incident while continuing their investigation. Initially, it appeared to be an accident case. The police thought that maybe due to a high speed, the car lost its balance and met an accident. However, when DISP Aridas examined the area around the car, he became suspicious. He found a matchbox, a rubber gloves and a pair of slippers a short distance from the car in the paddy field. Additionally, there were footprints in the field as if someone had run away through the field. The grass was also slightly trampled where the footprints were found. There was also a smell of petrol in the grass. When Aridas noticed all these things, he suspected foul play. Shortly afterwards, the forensic team arrived at the scene and conducted a post-mortem on the body at the edge of the field. The finding of the post-mortem confirmed DISP Aridas' suspicion. It was clear that the entire body was soaked with petrol before being set on fire. This made it clear that the car accident theory was not possible because in real accident, petrol would have spilled on or under the car, not on the person sitting on the driver's seat. Furthermore, an examination of the dead body's lungs showed no trace of smoke, indicating that the person had died before the car caught on fire. If the person had been alive when the car was burning, they would have inhaled smoke, leaving a mark in the lung. This confirmed that the body of the person in the car was dead before setting on fire. Thirdly, an examination of stomach contents revealed not only alcohol but also ethyl alcohol, a toxic chemical often used to sedate someone. Additionally, the car door was neither locked from the inside nor from outside. Yet, Sukumara Kurup did not try to escape, which any person would instinctively attempt to do. These findings made it evident that Sukumara Kurup was killed by poisoning with ethyl alcohol and his body was then placed in the car, doused with petrol and set on fire. What initially seemed like an accident was now a murder case. However, there were still several questions troubling DYSP Aridas, such as why a wealthy NRI with a good job in Abu Dhabi who was building a luxurious house in Alappuzha and was known for his lavish lifestyle would have no watch, no ring or no shoes on his body. The only item found was half-burnt low-quality underwear which did not match Kurup's profile. Meanwhile, Sukumara Kurup's family arrived at the scene, and since the postmortem was complete, they requested the body for the last rites. However, DYSP Aridas was not 100% sure that the deceased was Kurup, so he allowed them to take the body on the condition that it would be buried, not cremated, to preserve it for possible future evidence. The family agreed, and the body was handed over to them, which they buried with all the rituals on the afternoon of 22nd January 1984. DYSP Aridas sent two policemen in civil uniform to keep an eye on Smita Bhavan, where Kurup's brother-in-law Bhaskaran Pillai and his wife lived. Kurup usually stayed at Smita Bhavan instead of his own house when he returned from Abu Dhabi. This decision by Aridas proved correct because the two policemen observed a strange atmosphere at the house. Despite the tragic event in the morning, the family seemed cheerful. The Bhaskaran Pillai's wife had even cooked chicken for lunch, which was very unusual and suspicious given the circumstances. When the police reported this to DYSP Aridas, he called Bhaskaran Pillai for questioning at the Mavelikara police station. When Bhaskaran Pillai arrived at the police station, the police first asked him for his opinion on who might have murdered Sukumara Kurup. He said that Kurup had made many enemies in Abu Dhabi, and he suspected one of them might have killed him. While Bhaskaran Pillai was narrating this story, DYSP Aridas noticed something odd about his clothing. Bhaskaran Pillai was wearing a brand new white long sleeve shirt with branded button, which was uncommon in Kerala in 80s, except a special occasion like wedding or functions. Aridas found this very strange and asked Bhaskaran Pillai to unbutton his sleeve. Bhaskaran Pillai was taken back and initially hesitated but eventually complied. When Bhaskaran Pillai rolled up his sleeves, the police saw a burn marks near his elbow that appeared recent. Upon questioning the reason for burns, Bhaskaran claimed that due to the cold weather, he accidentally dropped hot coal on his elbow while warming himself. DYSP Aridas did not believe this explanation and ordered a thorough examination of Bhaskaran Pillai's body, revealing additional burns on his leg and face. Bhaskaran then provided a new excuse, saying that he accidentally spilled hot water on himself while preparing for a bath. His inconsistent explanations made Aridas more suspicious, leading to stricter interrogation. Under intense questioning, Bhaskaran Pillai confessed to a different story. He admitted that Kurup had taken him to Abu Dhabi to work, but Kurup cheated him and never paid him. Gradually, Bhaskaran developed a deep hatred for Kurup and decided to take revenge. When Kurup returned to his village, Bhaskaran killed him, took his body to a paddy field near the bridge and set him on fire using petrol. Following Bhaskaran Pillai's confession, DYSP Aridas and his team went straight to Smita Bhavan that evening to search for evidence. The investigation deepened as the police found burnt human hairs in the bathroom behind Smita Bhavan, which they sent to forensic team for analysis. Additionally, Aridas' attention was drawn to a brand new white ambassador car with a registration number of KLY 5959 parked inside the house. This car also belonged to Sukumara Kurup, who frequently used it when returning from Abu Dhabi. The police seized the car, but it raised another question. Why would Kurup, known for his lavish lifestyle, leave his new car at home and travel in an old one? The following day, on 23rd January 1984, the police received a call from a distant relative of Kurup, revealing a new twist. The relative disclosed that the Kurup was alive and that on 22nd January 1984, after Kurup's family returned from the burial, Kurup's driver Punnappan arrived at Kurup's house in the white ambassador car KLY 5959. People suspected Punnappan's involvement in Kurup's murder and attacked him, but a family member saved him. Punnappan then revealed that Kurup was alive and had sent him to deliver this news. When Kurup's family asked who died if Kurup was alive, Punnappan explained that the previous night Kurup and he accidentally hit a man with the car. They put the man's body in a old ambassador car and set it on fire. When asked asked where Kurup was currently, Ponnappan disclosed that after setting the car on fire, they headed straight to Alva, 70 kilometers away, and checked into Alankar Lodge. Kurup was currently staying in Alankar Lodge in Alva. After hearing the entire story from the driver, the ambassador car was parked at Smita Bhavan and the driver left. The Kerala police were now dealing with two different narratives: the confession by Sukumara Kurup's brother-in-law Bhaskaran Pillai and the hit-and-run story from the driver Ponnappan. DYSP Aridas already had a doubt about Bhaskaran Pillai's story, and upon hearing the driver's account, the Kurup was still alive. It became clear that Bhaskaran had lied to mislead the police. Also, DYSP Aridas found driver's hit-and-run story hard to believe. No sane person would place a hit-and-run victim in their own car and set it on fire. Furthermore, the postmortem report showed no sign of injuries on the dead body that would consistent with an accident. However, there was a lead. Kurup was staying in Alankar Lodge. Police went to Alankar Lodge and confirmed that Kurup had stayed there but had checked out just a few hours earlier, eluding capture. Handwriting in the lodge register matched Kurup's. Despite missing him by few hours, the information confirmed that Kurup was indeed alive. With Bhaskaran Pillai in custody, it was evident he was lying, so the police focused on him. Under intense interrogation, Bhaskaran eventually confessed the truth, revealing a deep and complex conspiracy. It also emerged that Kurup's real name was not Sukumara Kurup and that he had previously faked his death. To understand this, we need to go back in time. Sukumara Kurup's real name was Gopalakrishnan Kurup, born in 1946 into a politically influential family. His family wanted him to become a high-ranking government official, but Gopalakrishnan had no interest in studies. After failing his 12th grade exam, his family used their connection to get him into Indian Air Force. After completing his training with difficulty, Gopalakrishnan was stationed in Bombay as an airman. Initially, everything seemed fine, but he soon lost interest. One day, he lied about needing a few weeks of leave and returned to his village. According to the regulation, after his leave ended, he was supposed to either rejoin duty or report his supervisor if he couldn't return for any reason. Gopalakrishnan did neither. Week passed and he didn't return to his duty. In the armed force, disappearing without notice is taken very seriously. A week went by without any information from Gopalakrishnan. The Indian Air Force declared him as a deserter and started investigating his disappearance. Despite this, there was no news from him for a month. When Gopalakrishnan learned that the Air Force had declared him deserter and was searching for him, he feared a court-martial and a severe punishment if caught. To escape, he bribed a local official to issue a false death certificate, effectively declaring himself dead on paper. This allowed him to live fearlessly under a new identity, Sukumara Kurup. After assuming a new identity, Kurup obtained a fake passport and other documents. While working in the Indian Air Force in Mumbai, Kurup met Sarsama, a trainee nurse. They fell in love and decided to marry despite Kurup's family's disapproval, as Sarsama's mother was a maid at Kurup's grandmother's house. Defying his family's wishes, Kurup secretly married Sarsama at Shri Ram Mandir in Matunga, Bombay. In 1970, under his new identity, Kurup moved to Abu Dhabi with his wife. He joined a marine operating company in a respectable position, while his wife secured a job as a nurse in private hospital. The couple led a luxurious life, earning salaries equivalent to over 50,000 rupees per month, a significant amount in 70s and 80s. Kurup made many friends and maintained a lavish lifestyle, often visiting Kerala and bringing expensive gifts and liquors for his relatives and friends, who were always delighted to see him. During his visit to Kerala, Kurup stayed at his brother-in-law Bhaskaran Pillai's house, Smita Bhavan, as his parents were still upset about his marriage to Sarsama. Later, Kurup planned to build his own house and bought a land in Vandanam, Alapura, where he started constructing a grand house. He also bought a white ambassador car KLY 5959 and hired a driver. In 1982, the Gulf region experienced an economic downturn and many companies, including Kurup's, began laying off employees. Kurup, who was known for his extravagant spending and had no savings, became anxious about his job security. Most of his money was tied up in under construction house. One night, he stumbled upon a magazine article about a case in Germany where a man had killed someone, burned the body in the car and claimed the body as his own and defraud an insurance company. This gave him an idea and he decided to fake his death again. In October 1983, he took out a life insurance policy worth 8 lakh rupees, equivalent to approximately 1.2 crore in 2024. He then involved Shahu, an old friend and a colleague from Kerala, who agreed to join the plan out of loyalty and fear of losing his job. Kurup also roped in his brother-in-law, Bhaskaran Pillai, instructing him to buy a second-hand car. Pillai purchased a black Ambassador KL7831 for 8,000 rupees. On 5th January 1984, Kurup and his friend Shahu landed at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport in Kerala, setting their plan into motion. While driving home from the airport, Kurup convinced his driver to join the plot by offering him money, making him the fourth member of this conspiracy. The four men began their next phase of their plan. They needed to find someone who matched Kurup's height and build. Initially, they searched for a dead body that resembled Kurup, but after several days, they couldn't find one. They then looked for an unclaimed body from an accident, but ones they found were either too damaged or didn't match Kurup's physics. They even considered exhuming a recently buried body, but the body they found were either female or didn't match Kurup's build. After exhausting all options, Sukumaran suggested a shocking idea to others. Instead of searching for a dead body, they should kill someone who resembled him. Initially, the others were taken aback, but realizing they had no other option and motivated by the promise of money, they agreed. On the night of 21st January 1984, around 8 p.m., the four men met at Kalpakavedi Inn restaurant in Karuvatta. They spent the next 2 hours drinking and discussing their plan. Around 10 p.m., they left the restaurant in two different Ambassador and headed towards the highway NH47 from Alappuzha to Thiruvananthapuram. Their plan was to find someone on the highway who matched Sukumaran's height, build and age. That night, they drove about 25 kilometers along NH47 to Ochira but couldn't find anyone who could match Kurup's description. They decided to return to Alappuzha. On the way, they still couldn't find suitable person. After reaching Alappuzha, they decided to make one last attempt, hoping to find someone. Around midnight, they set out again in search of the target on NH47. This time, when they reached the TB junction, they saw a man signaling for a lift. The white Ambassador car, driven by Ponnappan on Bhaskaran Pillai's instruction, approached the man. When they saw him, their eyes lit up because his height, age and weight matched Sukumaran's. The man asked if they were heading towards Alappuzha, to which they lied and said they were, even though they were actually coming from Alappuzha. The man got into the back seat of the white Ambassador car between Bhaskaran Pillai and Shahu, and they started driving towards Alappuzha with Sukumaran Kurup following in the black Ambassador. When they were about to reach Tottapalli, Ponnappan turned the car off the highway into a deserted road towards Palana. When a man asked why they were going that way, Bhaskaran Pillai lied, saying he had to meet someone in Palana and that they would continue their journey afterwards. After driving a bit further on a deserted road, Bhaskaran Pillai offered the man a glass of brandy in which they had mixed ethyl alcohol. The man initially refused, saying he didn't drink. They insisted, but the man refused again. Bhaskaran Pillai then angrily shouted at him to drink, scaring the man into compliance. The man quickly drank the brandy, and within seconds the ethyl alcohol took effect, causing him to lose consciousness. While the car was still moving, Bhaskaran Pillai and Shahu strangled the man with the towel, killing him. They then drove about 30 kilometers to Smita Bhavan in Chariyanad. By the time they reached there, it was between 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. and the date had changed to 22nd January 1984. They took the body to the bathroom, removed its clothes, watch and ring and dressed it in Sukumaran's cloth. They then poured petrol on the face to burn it, ensuring it couldn't be identified. Despite their meticulous planning, they made a crucial mistake. They forgot to change the dead man's underwear, which later became an important piece of evidence. After burning the face of the body, they loaded it into the trunk of the White Ambassador, and around 3 a.m., the four men drove both the cars to the Kolakada Bridge. They parked near the paddy field by Achankoli River. They transferred the body from the trunk of the White Ambassador to the driver's seat of the Black Ambassador. They then poured the 10 liters of petrol all over the car and the body. They pushed the Black Ambassador off the road into the field to make it look like an accident and set it on fire. As soon as the car caught fire, there was a burst of flames. Because some petrol had spilled on Bhaskaran Pillai's hand and legs, he also caught fire. To save themselves, they ran away through the field. In this haste, they left behind the matchbox, a pair of slippers, and a rubber gloves in the field. An hour later, the event that you already know transpired. After the whole story came to the light, the Kerala police quickly started searching for the remaining 3 conspirators: Shahu, the driver Ponnappan, and Sukumara Kurup. DYSP Aridas immediately sent a team to Trivandrum International Airport on 23rd January 1984 to catch Shahu. They obtained his address from the immigration department and they went to his village. When they raided his house, they found him packing and preparing to leave. It was later revealed that he was planning to leave for Abu Dhabi via Kochi, and if police had been few hours late, he might have escaped. Realizing he had no other option, Shahu confessed to his crime. With 2 of 4 culprits in custody, the police were still looking for the other 2. But the major question still puzzled them. If Sukumara Kurup was alive, then who was the dead person? To solve the case, it was crucial to identify the body. Bhaskaran Pillai and Shahu could only provide a description that the deceased resembled Sukumaran. They had no other information. DYSP Aridas began checking with nearby police stations to see if any missing person report has been filed in past 2 to 3 days. During this time, the police missed a golden chance to catch Sukumaran and his driver. On 22nd January 1984, the driver reached Alapura and sent a message to Sukumaran's wife, Sarsamma, that Sukumaran had died and she should come to Kerala immediately. The next morning, 23rd January 1984, the driver reached the Alankar Lounge in Alua, where Sukumaran was staying. When Ponnappan informed Sukumaran that police had arrested Bhaskaran Pillai, Sukumaran panicked, fearing that Pillai might reveal everything. He quickly left with the driver for Alapura. Barely an hour or 2 after their departure, a police team arrived at the lodge looking for Sukumaran. While the Kerala police searched him at Alua, he had already reached Alapura and was hiding at its grandmother's house. Fearing Bhaskaran Pillai might talk, Sukumaran used his money and influence to try to get Pillai released. When that failed, he and his driver took a train from Mavelikara railway station to Kollam on 23rd January 1984. From there, they headed towards Bhutan using fake names Renu Gopal and Satyan to cross the border. Meanwhile, the Kerala police received a crucial piece of information. On 24 January 1984, DYSP Aridas learned of a significant clue about the deceased. A missing person report had been filed at Aripat police station about 12 kilometers from Mavelikara. Immediately, Aridas and his team rushed to Aripat police station, where they learned that 30 years old man named N.J. Chacko had been missing for the past 2 days. He was last seen at the night of 24 January 1984 at TB Junctions in Karuvata. The police were delighted because the age, location and the timing matched Bhaskaran Pillai's story. Since the police did not have a recognizable face to compare with Chacko's photograph, they took half-burnt underwear recovered from the body and a broken button found inside the White Ambassador and went to Chacko's house in Alapura. When his wife Shantama saw the half-burnt underwear, she immediately recognized it. The police then conducted further investigations and interviewed all the witnesses, finally uncovering Chacko's full story, making him the 5th and the final character in this tale. Chacko was a film representative who delivered the reels to the movie theater called Hari Talkies near TB Junctions in Karuvata. Although he usually traveled for work, he had been staying at home for the past few months because his wife Shantama was 6 months pregnant. On 21st January 1984, he went to Hari Talkies in the morning. After the second show ended and he collected tickets, he headed home to Alapura. But it got quite late. Nevertheless, he decided to go home that night because it was very important to be there for his pregnant wife. Around 10 p.m., he reached TB Junction near the highway to wait for the bus to Alapura. Sri Hari, the son of the owner of Hari Talkies, accompanied Chacko to TB Junction. Sri Hari suggested that Chacko stay there for the night as it was very late and the buses were very rare on the highway after 8 p.m. Chacko insisted on going home because his wife was pregnant and the next day was the first wedding anniversary. He wanted to take her to church. After a brief wait with Chacko, Sri Hari went back to the theatre, leaving Chacko alone at the tea shop waiting for the bus. That night, the black and the white ambassador car carrying Sukumara Kurup and his accomplices passed Chacko twice without noticing him. Unfortunately, on the third pass around midnight, Chacko waved for a lift and got into the car, unknowingly sealing his fate. Coincidentally, the movie playing at Hari Talkies was Kini, meaning trap, an eerie parallel to Chacko's situation. When Chacko did not return home or to the Hari Talkies for the next 2 days, his family filed a missing person report at Aripat police station on 24 January 1984. This story clarified that the body in the burned car was indeed Chacko, but to prove this in court, the police needed more than just the witness statements. They required scientific evidence, so they started gathering all the possible evidence. Remembering Bhaskaran Pillai's confession, the police searched his house and found some burnt hair in the bathroom. When they compared this hair with the sample from Chacko's comb, they matched. The Kerala police decided to conduct another postmortem on the body. On the 1st February 1984, they exhumed the body. For the first time in India, they used a technique called superimposition in a case. Superimposition involves matching a human skull with photograph of a person's face. Despite the difficulties, since the upper part of the exhumed skull was missing and the jawbone was burnt, they managed to match the remaining skull fragments with Chacko's face. Additionally, the bones of the right foot were intact. The doctor connected these bones with wires to form a complete pattern and used clay to reconstruct the foot. This comprehensive identification process provided the necessary scientific evidence to confirm that the body was indeed Chacko's. For this, they researched the feet of 13 different dead bodies to determine how much flesh is present in each part. The match was 100% accurate, and thus, for the first time, the case name was changed from Sukumaran murder case to Chacko murder case. DYSP Aridas and his team solved the case within just 2 weeks of the murder. They identified the motive and the perpetrators, with two of them, Bhaskaran Pillai and Shahu, already in the custody. However, for Sukumaran and the driver, the Kerala police put all the efforts into locating them. Meanwhile, Sukumaran, who was hiding in Bhutan with his driver, ran out of money. Therefore, he decided to return to Kerala to arrange more funds. But instead of going directly, he decided to travel from Bhutan to Andaman Island and then to Madras. Upon arriving in Madras, he rented a room at New Land Lodge. After spending a night there, he instructed his driver Ponnappan to wait for him while he headed to Kerala alone. 19 days after the murder, on 10th February 1984, Sukumaran reached her relative's house in Mavelikara. However, since the police were searching for him everywhere, his relative advised him to hide. He then disguised himself and reached his home in Chariyanad, where his wife Sarsamma had already arrived from Abu Dhabi after hearing his news of his death. After arranging some money from his wife, he also met his lawyer, who advised him to surrender, but Sukumaran refused. On the evening of 11th February 1984, he once again evaded Kerala police and left for Madras from Kottakara railway station. However, before he could reach Madras, his driver decided to visit his family in Kerala. Ponnappan managed to reach Changanasheri safely, but on 12th February 1984, while boarding a boat to Alapura, a man from his village recognized him and informed the police. The police arrested him and he confessed to his crime. With 3 out of 4 criminals now in police custody, the main mastermind Sukumaran was still at large. The Kerala police intensified their search for him. Later, some informant revealed that after reaching Madras, Sukumaran had stayed with his relative in Itarsi, Madhya Pradesh for a week before moving to Mumbai. The police traced his step to Itarsi and then to Mumbai, but beyond knowing that he had been there, they found no further clue. The Kerala police searched extensively from the Andaman Nicobar Island to Bhutan and several states in India, but Sukumaran remained elusive. Subsequently, the police formed a special investigation team to find Sukumaran, which continued the search for many years. The team even followed leads to Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Los Angeles, USA. During their investigation, they detained over 100 suspects from various places and questioned them, but none provided useful information and they had to be released. In 1989, Kerala police received a lead from Dhanbad, Bihar that Sukumaran had been seen in a hospital by a Malayali nurse. The police quickly reached the nurse, who confirmed that she suspected a patient named P.S. Joshi might be Sukumaran. However, before the police could act, the patient disappeared from the hospital along with the medical records. Despite investigating several hospitals where P.S. Joshi had been admitted across states like Orissa, West Bengal, Assam and Chhattisgarh, the police found no concrete evidence. They learned that the patient was suffering from various heart ailments and likely to have only few months to live. Given the lack of substantial lead, the Kerala police closed the case in 1966, 12 years after the murder. Though they ceased active search efforts, they continued to monitor all the letters and phone calls to Sukumaran's family and relatives. In 2008, 24 years after the murder, the Kerala Crime Branch noticed a suspicious phone number frequently calling Sukumaran's family from Saudi Arabia. The Crime Branch decided to send an investigative team to Saudi Arabia, but the plan leaked to the media. As soon as the news broke, the call stopped and the number went out of service. Despite this, the incident strongly indicated that Sukumaran was still alive. 2 years later, another significant event confirmed Sukumaran's survival. On 12th November 2010, Sukumaran's son's wedding invitation card listed his father's name as Sri Sukumara Kurup instead of the customary late or deceased, implying that Sukumaran was still alive. The Kerala Crime Branch monitored the wedding but found no sign of him. Sukumaran's greed destroyed many families. Chacko's wife, who was 6 months pregnant at that time, later gave a birth to a child who grew up without his father. Although Chacko's wife forgave Sukumaran and others involved in the case in 2018, Chacko's son Jitin insists that his father's soul will not rest in peace until Sukumaran is caught. The other accomplices have lived in obscurity. The driver Ponnappan died a year after serving his sentence, leaving his 2 children to struggle. Shahu makes his living selling fish in his village, and the house Sukumaran wanted to build remains incomplete. As of 2024, 40 years after the incident, Sukumaran Kurup is still on the run, making him India's longest fugitive criminal. The Mavelikara court issued a latest arrest warrant against him on 2nd December 2016, and the police continue to search for him, using his hair sample for identification. If alive, Sukumaran Kurup would be 76 or 77 years old. Several films have been made about the case, including NH47 in 1984 and Kurup in 2021. This is the complete story of the India's fugitive criminal Sukumaran Kurup. Thank you for watching the video. Your support means the world to me, and I look forward in bringing you more compelling stories and discussion in future. Until next time, take care and stay curious.